Good morning and welcome back to Morning at NTV. This is the Take Note segment, and today we'll be having an interesting discussion on child labor. Uganda yesterday joined the entire world in commemorating the World Day Against Child Labor, and this actually took place in Gulu yesterday. And this year's theme was on generation safe and healthy, but the main point still remains: do we understand child labor? Where do we draw the line between giving your children duties and it becoming child labor? And in studio today we have Isaac Arinaitwe, who is the Programs Officer, Networking and Community Development at the Platform for Labor Action. Welcome to studio.
Thank you so much.
There's a thin line, you're telling me, between child duties and child labor. What is child labor?
Well, child labor is this kind of work that really physically, mentally affects the development of children. It is dangerous to the health and development of children. It's work that really affects the children's ability to go to school, attend school. When they go to school, are they able to concentrate in school? So any kind of work that a child does and affects their ability to concentrate at school is tantamount to child labor.
Is it just concentrating at school or just functioning as a normal child?
Yeah, functioning as a normal child, concentrating at school, having an opportunity to play with fellow children, work that really even affects the development of children. We have parents, for example, and guardians who in guise of educating their children or trying to educate their children to learn to work, they do excess. They want to make children go and make money. Sometimes you find children, for example, on the streets at night, selling some foodstuffs, smoking food, and they reach home late at night. They are very tired. If they had homework, they cannot be able to do it. They are not going to concentrate better tomorrow when they go to school. We have also others who make children work as domestic workers, or most people call them housemaids.
Yes.
So you have children, other children at school, but then you have this kind of child who stays home to prepare breakfast, food, for clean around while these other children go to school. So that kind of work that really affects the development of a child, because if you don't access education, even your mental development will be affected. I
totally agree with you.
Yes,
and when it comes to child labor, what age bracket are we looking at? Because you mentioned that most of them are actually housemaids. What age bracket are we looking at? Is it at 18, under 18? That's when we categorize it as child labor, or at a point whereby, this person needs to be either in tertiary school. What age bracket?
Well, of course, with the Constitution of Uganda defines a child as any person below the age of 18.
Correct.
And as long as you are engaging that a child who is below the age of 18 into labor, that is regarded as child labor. But however, there is an age at 16 years. The Constitution of Uganda and the Children's Act provide for someone who is 16 years and above to be able to engage in work for pay. But
activities.
if they are doing that kind of work, they must do it under the supervision of an adult. And that kind of work should not really affect the children's ability to attend school and live like a normal child. So that is what we can. But we have majority of our parents, majority of our guardians let children even as young as 8 years, from 8 to 14, 15, get engaged in work that greatly affects them, that greatly affects their ability to access education, that greatly affects their psychological and mental development. Work which even affects the children, that they even get stunted growth.
Yes.
You make children carry heavy loads of work, and that really affects their development.
This year's theme of the World Against Child Labor was on, generation safe and health. Generation safe and health. What informed this? Why generation safe and health?
Yeah, thank you. One of the key critical issues that is affecting children is, of course, the health impacts when you engage your child in child labor. And the theme of this year is trying to raise awareness to every person in Uganda, in the whole world, that, you know, it is very important that we have a generation that is safe and healthy. And when you engage children in that kind of work, in work that affects their ability to go to school, in work that really affects their bodies, it really affects their health development. I can give you an example. Towards the end of 2017, we did a study on the situation of child labor in gold mining in Bujiri district and Moroto district.
Yes.
And we registered high percentages of children, because we reached around 1,035 children working in gold mining. And the major problem that these children were complaining, these are children from around 8 years to 16 and 17. The major problem was chest problems, facing chest problems, chest pains. We actually registered, we found out that in 2017, there were a total of 7 children who had died when they were covered by the slides, by the mine holes. We found around 13% of the children having wounds generated from doing this kind of work. We had children having problems with their eyesight, especially in the Bujiri district, where they use some machines to grind the soil which they suspect has gold, and it affects their, because the only thing you could see when you go to the mining site, you always find the face full of dust, and the only thing you can see are the bright white eyes, you know. And they're complaining of eye problems and skin problems, because when it comes to, for example, sieving gold, the children are exposed to dirty and stagnant water, and they stay there for long hours, more than 7 hours. So children who are exposed to this kind of work, you're assured that their future is going to be greatly affected. And World Day Against, this theme about World Day Against Child Labor is trying to raise awareness that we need to have a generation that is healthy. So engaging children in this kind of work is really dangerous to their lives.
And for the parents who actually allow their children to go to these mines and work in Bugiri and Moroto as well, what were your findings? Why were they allowing their children to, you know, work in this adverse kind of conditions? Is it lack of awareness? Is it that that's the only source of income? What exactly is it?
One of the first, actually, when I was talking with the researcher, one of the first things that we had in mind was like, we know the biggest issue they're going to raise is poverty.
Yes.
But that was not the case. The biggest was they want, I think, ignorance, because for them they do that thinking that they're teaching their children how to learn to work. You know, and they're telling us, you know, when we grew up, this is the kind of work that we found our forefathers doing. We are also doing it. It has enabled us to survive. But then when you are looking at this person who's proud to have survived, is putting on a trouser which is full of patches and cannot afford, you know, providing for the children. So the biggest percentage of the biggest percentage that we got, around 75% of the parents, why they were engaging their children in gold mining, was that they wanted them to supplement towards a family income, and that was a huge problem. So for them, they don't appreciate the need to give their children the first priority to access education, so that they can get better opportunities when they finish school. But also, of course, ignorance was a key issue. We found that also at the mine sites, for example, they are supposed to be inspected.
Yes.
And maybe the labor officers, one of the major reasons they were giving us this was lack of funds to be able to go and carry out labor inspection. So because the community knows that actually no law enforcement agency is going to be around to monitor they can continue using
and
children.
And when the parents worried about the schools, the children having to drop out of school, because I'm sure, like the report said, there were, you actually registered big numbers of school dropouts and even enrollment of school. Isn't this worrying them that if our children miss school just because of this, then we are literally denying them of a bright future, so to speak?
That's true, because 90% of the children that we found working in the gold mining sites were actually not in school. And you see, those are huge percentages of children. But again, the parents are not aware that it is very important to take children to school. They take education of children as a secondary activity. And that's why it is very important to really raise awareness to these parents that it is very important to educate your children. There's one village where if there was need to have, for example, a member of parliament, it was difficult to find someone who has even the requirements to be a member of parliament, because hardly had these people finished senior 6. So that is one of the major issues that we found out in the communities, and that's why we need to really raise awareness that if we need to have a generation that is healthy, that is safe, education is the first key that should be put at the forefront, and all the rest can come later.
All the rest can come later. You, as the platform for Labor in Action, are at the forefront of actually fighting child labor, and in particular Bugiri and Moroto, because these are gold mining areas. They're prime areas for, you know, industries that are in this sector. Have you tried to engage the players in this sector to just, you know, put in measures to ensure that, fine, they're going to benefit out of this gold that is being mined by these people, but have you engaged them for them to put in measures to just ensure that the parents who are in this business of mining do not protect their children, do not let their children come and work with them?
Yeah, we've done that, and one of the first things that we did was to look at we have looked at the Mining Act, and we're already seeing that it has some gaps that actually also contribute to having young women and girls exploited in the world of work, especially in the mine sector. And one of the key recommendations we've given out to the Ministry of Energy is, because people in the mining sector are given, or players in the mining sector are given, we know, licenses to do the mining.
Yes.
So one of the key recommendations we are giving is that, as part that there should be a commitment, there should be an MOU that all the people to be given licenses, or if your license is to be renewed, you should be able to commit that your work is not going to exploit children.
Yes.
And we believe that if this is put at the forefront, we are going to have workplaces which are actually safe for people to work in. Because even the work conditions in the mining sites, for example, were not really good at all. You know, there are a lot of, I don't know, I can call it fat holes, you know, there are big patches of holes, there are escarpments, there are ditches, and some of these children, you know, you just see children passing through those, and you're like, what, you just hold your head just praying that one doesn't fall inside there. So, and even the situation there is, even the health situation is not safe.
And do you think we will get to that point? Do you think that we'll get to that point whereby the mining industry, the players, the big players in this sector, will actually abide by those proposals?
Of course, it is definitely the mandate of government to ensure that the players in the mining sector do their role. But one of the other key problems that we saw is that in this we have what we call artisanal miners. These are people in the communities who are even not well mobilized, who are not organized, that are engaged in the mining. And one of the key things we would want government to do is we want these artisanal miners to be organized, maybe organized into associations, so that the government can be able to fast track, even organize them much better. If they are not organized, then they will continue using children and being exploited. Because even in that sector, even the miners themselves are cheated. They are brokers. Correct. So you find if they have, for example, gold, which would have maybe been worth some good sums of money, they are going to be paid little because they don't know if they don't have access to market linkages, and already that brings a lot of exploitation for those workers. So if they can be that, if government can play a critical role in mobilizing them, organizing them, then we'll ensure that we have a clean sector.
A clean sector that is regularized. There's this issue of poverty, and you told me there's people who mine this gold. It's abject poverty. And still, they're mining the most precious stone on earth. Why are we having this? Is it that the players compensate them unevenly, unfairly? Is it regulated? Do they know what they deserve per kilogram of gold that they mine, that they sell to these people?
Yeah, and that's why the biggest problem is, because you'll find that even amongst the miners there in the rural areas of Moroto, you'll find that it's just a few of them who are able to travel to Kampala to try to sell their product. What is in the community is that there are brokers, of course, who know where to sell. So when you do the mining, they come and you go and sell those people. So those will cheat you actually, because you don't know where the market is. And so at the end of it, you find that people are cheated. In Moroto, for example, mining is regarded as a family business for those people who engage in mining. You find full time the whole family lives in the morning and goes to the mines. And when they get something at the end of the day, you find that the woman and his children are going to the broker. So whatever they have, the broker is paying them as little as 10,000, 15,000. And they feel happy. But at the end, as a neutral person, you really see that these people have been greatly exploited. So they could be able to benefit from it and actually support their children to go to school and provide better meals for their children. But because of lack of access to information on where to access market is a very key problem for most of these artisanal miners.
Wow. And I understand that we have Andrew Chamagero on standby, who has someone who can contribute as well and has a question for you on this topic of child labor, how we can fight it. Is it also happening here in Kampala? I'm sure even in our neighborhoods. Let's not even get there. Andrew Chamagero, if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Mala. I'm on the ground, and next to me is a gentleman called Komoro Chibirige. Chibirige, mu studio tulina omukugu mu nsonga z'abaana abakola. Oyinza mubuuza kibuuzo ki naddala ku baana bano abakola naddala nga mu galagi zammwe eyo. Kankukwatira omuzindaalo.
Kaakati abaana abakola nze sigenda kwawula bawala na balenzi. Kubanga abalenzi basobola okugaana okusoma. Nange kennyini ndi wano. Nagaana okusoma.
Wagaana bugaanyi.
Nagaana okusoma.
Babakolera ki abantu nga mmwe?
Abantu nga ffe tetulina ttabu, tusobola okuba n'amagezi amazaale naye ng'agasoma tetukola ki tetugalina. Kati nze wenjogerera bano agasoma nali sigalina bulungi naye ng'amazaale agawano ndi musajja muzibu nnyo era n'abo bonna baninako obujulizi.
Bwe twogera ku baana bano ababeera ku street abatunda ebintu mu nguudo mu traffic jam, oyinza kyogerako ki? Tubayambye tutya?
Abaana abo mwali badde mubafunira ekifo kyabwe nga bo bakola wiikendi. Okyegera mukama wange nga babeere ku masomero. Okyegera mukama wange oba sekyo omwana ng'oyo badde mbomuwa ebbeetu ne bamuga agenda mu galagi, kati nga nze bwe bandeeta mu galagi maama wange n'embeera eyo.
Olowooza omuzadde abatasudde buvunaanyizibwa bwe?
Osobola okuba nga tolina ssente n'ofuna ssente ezisobola okusasula omwana mu galagi n'ayiga ate n'amulabirira mu galagi. Kati tutandikira mu kakadde okudda waggulu.
Kati akakadde kamubula omutwala musomera mulete mu galagi.
Anti kati akakadde asobola otunda akataka ke wali n'agawa omwana ayige naye ate mu ggala buli lunaku anaaba atunda ttaka asasula school fees buli ttaamu.
Well, Mala, there you have it. He makes a profound observation here. He actually says the students who actually sell a lot of stuff during traffic jam hours, they should be given weekends, and the other days they can actually be at school. He goes ahead and advocates for parents who don't have enough money to sell their land. They bring their children in like garage, or you go to hands-on institutions or technical schools where you're not going to spend a lot more money time and again. So that is Chibirige's idea in Chiseka here.
Yeah. Maybe your take on that.
Yeah, but I really want to appreciate Kiburige because he's appreciating the importance of education.
Yes.
You know, he never went to school, and he's working. He said he's good at what he's doing, but you can see at the end of it all, he's appreciating the importance of educating children. And that's why he's even thinking that even if you're a parent and you're saying that you don't have money, do your level best and take your child to somewhere where they can get a skill.
Correct.
And I think that is the way to go. In fact, we have withdrawn 417 children exploited in child labor in gold mining and domestic work in Kampala. Many children working as house girls and housemaids, and they have gone back to school, especially vocational training, and have gotten the skill. So this, and right now, these girls are earning much more better than they were earning when they were exposed in child labor.
Correct.
One of the key reasons why many people like using children as workers is because they know that they have no bargaining power.
They cannot speak for themselves.
They can't speak for themselves, and they are exploited. So that's why they are greatly exploited. And but also, in Kampala, for example, maybe this is one of the gaps we have seen within our law, especially the Employment Act. It does not recognize a home as a workplace, and labor officers don't inspect those homes.
Yes.
So if there could be an opportunity, if there could be a review of these policies, so that the labor officers can inspect homes and see whether the children who are working, the people who are working there, are people who have the right age to be engaged in that kind of work.
Wow. We applaud you and the Platform for Labor Action for the work that you're doing, and we hope that you make strides in this. I know you're partnering with different agencies to push for this and to fight against child labor. Thank you so much, Andrew Chamagero, for your contribution. And that brings us to a close. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much for making time and coming in studio today. That has been the contribution. That has been the topic for today. In case you know someone who is crossing the line, that thin line, is engaging children in child labor, you can have a discussion with them. Just talk to them and tell them, you know what, it's important for these children to go to school. If it's a parent who is doing that to their own children, just sensitize them on the importance of these children going to school, because at the end of the day, as we say as Africans, if my children go to school, I'll be the one to benefit in old age. So that has been the discussion for today, child labor. Thank you so much for being part of this. My name is Malaki Vilaudera. Do have yourself a blessed day.
You're watching Morning